cereal in approved containers. Good management prevents farm accidents.
This week and every week in 2026, think and practice safety first.
This message is sponsored by Farm and Home Supply in Taylorville. Nobody else has it all like your local Farm and Home Supply. WTIM. You're listening to the WTIM Morning Show on your information station. The show is sponsored by People's Bank and Trust, where they put people first, and Landmark of Taylorville. I'm your host, Reed Kamai. The Operation Honor Guard's Day of Giving is coming up next week, it looks like, May 6th. And here to talk about that and much more is the Public Relations Director at Sutton Memorial Homes, who is heavily involved in this, Chad Sparks. Chad, thanks for coming on this morning.
Hey, Reed, thanks for having me, man. What an honor to be here in Taylorville and meeting you and being able to talk about this great event. This is exciting.
No, this is exciting, and I look forward to talking about it. So I mentioned there Wednesday, May 6th. What should folks know about it just overall?
Yeah, there's a lot. In fact, we were talking earlier and we said we have 17 minutes. I said, man, we could do this for 37 minutes. So we will condense. But no, it's going to be a great day. It's all about giving back to our veterans who have given so much to us. And the goal of that day from 8 a.m. to 7 p.m. out at Veterans Memorial Park is to make sure that all of the giving that comes in from communities and families, the various people are going to come out, that they're going to know that all of those funds go to our Honor Guard to supply their needs, make sure they're taken care of.
Yeah. So you said Veterans Memorial Park, and in terms of, do folks need to sign up to attend at all, or
Not
do
at
they
all.
just walk up?
Yeah, in fact, not only do we want them to walk up, but also and bring your donations, but also bring your Thanksgiving, bring your congratulations, your celebration for all that these veterans have done, and let them know how much you appreciate them. And that's going to be a day where we can finally say thank you, veterans, for doing what you do every day.
Yeah, and it seems as well kind of like thanking them, which is great, but also doing it in a tangible way,
Right?
Which I feel like just adds kind of more to the gesture. Would you agree?
I agree, Reed.
Yeah.
I think that's so great. And again, knowing that you can have such an incredible impact on these veterans and their Honor Guard to supply their needs, it's just a wonderful, wonderful opportunity for sure.
No, it sounds like it. Again, Wednesday, May 6th. So that's at Veterans Memorial Park. And then is that the one right? Is it the one at the main intersection? Because I know you said Park and Washington Street, and I'm just trying to visualize it.
Yeah, I love that word intersection. I think that's going to be the word that's going to work for us. I think, and you'll see a lot of veterans out there. They'll be armed with their blue buckets with the Operation Honor Guard Day of Giving logo on them. They're going to stand out for sure.
Okay, so it sounds like it'll be pretty hard to miss, which is certainly good for an event like this. So I understand this Operation Honor Guard Day of Giving. It's been going on for some time, but this is the first time in Christian County.
It is.
Okay, yeah. So talk about what brought this to Christian County.
Yeah, it's a great question. So we have funeral homes also in Decatur. And so many years ago, we started this with our Macon County Honor Guard, very large group of veterans, both men and women who've served our country courageously, sacrificially. We got to know them, and Reed, as we were talking to them and really working with them throughout these years, we realize, wow, what an impact we've had on the veterans, but moreover, what an impact the veterans have had on us. Yeah. So we looked at it, we said, it's time to expand. We're going to take it outside. We're still doing it in Decatur. We want to take it outside to another market. Reed, Taylorville was perfect. Christian County is, number one, you've got an incredible support system. There are a ton of veterans who love their country. They're absolutely dedicated to the families that need military rights and military honors. They're always there for us. We have such a great relationship through our funeral homes that we have here. It was the perfect match. And that's why we decided to come to Taylorville.
Okay. So I think of it when I think of that Veterans Park. I've got it in my head, at least as long as I'm thinking of the right one. And yeah, it seems like that presence is there, just like you described. So you have the Decatur event. You're doing that as well. Is that on the same day?
It is.
Okay.
Yeah. And Reed, what's interesting is Operation Honor Guard kind of goes all over the area. And so we've got multiple Honor Guards that are going to be collecting and receiving those gifts and donations all day. Taylorville is now our newest expanded market that we're going to be working with, but they're everywhere in Illinois. And so what's kind of neat about it is there's always kind of and Reed, you'll love this, kind of a competition among all the honor guards to see who can raise the most funds.
Oh yeah.
So secretly, privately, maybe we're rooting for Taylorville to just take over, and be the number one group this year. So yeah, we have a rooting interest here.
A rooting interest, and I think with some of what you described, with like the connection to veterans and service in Taylorville, who knows, maybe they will come out on top. Now, I would imagine like having all of these like on the same day, certainly like a kind of a major impact on impact and on raising funds, but it could also maybe like stretch your resources a bit in terms of people out there to run that. Have you noticed that sort of struggle come up, or have you made it work in the past?
Yeah, it's such a great question. The one thing I will say is that, we're blessed with an amazing group of funeral homes. I mean, 4 generations, family owned, family operated. These people are dedicated to task. And when we brought this to Sutton Memorial Homes, Austin Sutton and his team, they were the ones who championed this. They wanted this. As a matter of fact, I kind of laugh because they wanted this probably more than any group that we've ever worked with. And it's just because they have such a deep love for the veterans here in their communities. They work with them on a weekly basis or a monthly basis. They're always out. The veterans are out offering the military rights at the cemetery, funeral home, churches. And so with those relationships established, it was a no-brainer for Austin and his team to say, we will have the team ready. We'll have them fully prepped. We will make sure these veterans are amply taken care of over the course of that entire day of giving.
No, that is great. So it sounded like that dedication was there from the folks at Sutton Memorial Home, including in Taylorville. Talk a little bit more about kind of the impact that Operation Honor Guard and the work that you folks do has had on veterans and their communities. What does that really look like?
Yeah, we're filled with gratitude first and foremost, right? If you've ever lost a loved one who served in the military rights have been accorded, the impact that can have on you. I certainly can talk about that on a personal level. But the one thing that I would say is, so often we never get the chance to really sit down with a veteran and say, hey, what are your needs? And especially someone with the honor guard. And once we find out what their needs are, new coats, new uniforms, more artillery, different kind of gear, whatever it might be, and we realize that they don't have the funding to provide for that, it allows us to say, okay, we can help with that. We just need to know what those needs are. We had, Reed, it was really interesting. We had a meeting at our funeral home with Ricky Reed and Glenn Goodrich, 2 just amazing veterans, wonderful guys. And they spelled out what those needs were. And they really kind of laid out to us what they were looking for. It was such an amazing conversation. And I learned 2 things on that day. Number one, I learned that they have a deep relationship with the staff at Sutton, with their team. And then also I learned that maybe these needs wouldn't have been known if we didn't get together to find out what they are. And I'm just grateful that we now know. So when we're collecting those funds, we can kind of see that maybe they do need new uniforms or they need new coats or whatever it might be.
Yeah, and it sounds like, with kind of the scope of what it is you're trying to do, that physical presence and being seen there is like, it just kind of adds to the importance of it, because you want to reach veterans and hear from them directly. It sounds like, at least.
That's right. And again, like I said, going out there and getting to talk to them, giving to them, first and foremost, wonderful, but being able to talk to them and to thank them for what they've done and for the service that they've done. And Reed, I'll say this too. You think about it, if you're sitting in a funeral and you're there at the cemetery, and let's say military rights are recorded, if you're like me, you look at these men and women, you say, they left all that behind. They've come home, they've been assimilated into society, they've gotten close to their families, and yet they're still serving. And sometimes in inclement weather and terrible circumstances, and they're still serving. And that in and of itself is so worthy of gratitude and thanksgiving. It's a day that allows us not only to give financially, but to give a lot of gratitude as well.
And it sounds like it. And I think that's what adds a lot, it seems, to the value of doing this sort of thing. So, it's great to hear about, and just learn about what is meant to be there for the veterans, and how you folks do that with Sutton Memorial Homes and with the Operation Honor Guard. I'm talking right now with Chad Sparks, Public Relations Director with Sutton Memorial Homes, which is organizing this Operation Honor Guard, including for the first time in Christian County. Again, that is coming up on Wednesday, March 6th at Veterans Memorial Park. Let's take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll talk a little more about Operation Honor Guard and anything else that is pertinent to this, and that's coming up right here on the WTIM Morning Show on your information station.
Your information station, WTIM.
When it comes to connecting with America's farmers and ranchers, nothing beats the authentic voice of Ag Radio. Farm broadcasters have been the voice of rural America since 1944, building trusted relationships with agricultural producers across generations. Today, the network of over 140 ag radio stations reaches farmers and ranchers during their most productive hours when they're actively working their operations and making business decisions. What makes Ag Radio uniquely effective? Farmers listen to farm broadcasters for information that directly impacts their livelihood. When your message is delivered alongside crucial weather updates, market reports, and agricultural news, it receives the same attention and credibility. Farm Radio Connects offers agricultural advertisers targeted access to this engaged audience through professionals who understand both broadcasting and agriculture. According to the National Association of Farm Broadcasting, 78% of farmers consider information from farm broadcasters highly trustworthy. When you need to reach rural America effectively, choose the voices they already trust. Visit IllinoisFarmRadio.com and discover how Ag Radio can elevate your agricultural marketing strategy.
It's time to renew or purchase your new 2-year golf membership at one of the area's most popular courses, Lakeshore Golf Course just south of Taylorville. Manager Jason Boldig here, reminding you of these benefits our members receive, including unlimited greens fees at all 4 of our area courses. The best part's the price, just $318 for a 2-year membership. Get to Lakeshore Golf Course just south of Taylorville now to renew or purchase your new 2-year golf membership and get in the swing.
Springfield Clinic Taylorville's care team is growing. Here's Dr. Pavi Gill with Springfield Clinic Taylorville.
Springfield Clinic Taylorville is excited to welcome nurse practitioner Morgan Winans to the team. She is collaborating with Dr. Roger McClintock in internal medicine and pediatrics and is welcoming new patients now.
Call Springfield Clinic Taylorville today at 217-287-8855 to schedule your appointment now.
I'm Will Perkins, President and CEO of Taylorville Community Credit Union. TCCU is proud to be the exclusive sponsor of the Hart Media Group Community Spotlight, allowing a different nonprofit organization to be highlighted on WTIM, WMKR, and WRAN each month.
Summer is calling at Camp Widgewagon, located right on Lake Springfield. Enjoy days filled with rock wall climbing, swimming, canoeing, and making lifelong friends in a space where every girl can be herself. From archery to arts and crafts, the fun starts here. And the best part, camp is open to all girls. You don't have to be a Girl Scout to join the fun, so bring a friend and let's make some memories. Want to keep the adventure going all year long? Now is the perfect time to become a Girl Scout. Visit getyourgirlpower.org to register for camp or start your Girl Scout journey.
TCCU is proud to be the exclusive sponsor of the Hart Media Group Community Spotlight. Come join us. You'll wonder why you waited. Member NCUA.
Your information station, WTIM.
Welcome back to the WTIM Morning Show on your information station. The show is sponsored by People's Bank and Trust, where they put people first, and Landmark of Taylorville. I'm your host, Reed Kamai, and I continue my conversation with Chad Sparks, Public Relations Director with Sutton Memorial Homes, the organizers of Operation Honor Guard's Day of Giving, which is happening next Wednesday, May 6th from 8 to 7 at Veterans Memorial Park. Chad, just talk a little bit about how Operation Honor Guard's Day of Giving actually works and really what potential donors and recipients should know.
Yeah, that's, by the way, the key word is work. It's a lot of work. It's a big day for sure. So everything, as you said, Reed, so perfectly, starts at 8:00 a.m. right there at the park. Our veterans will be assembled. They'll have buckets in hand, likely in uniform. And at that point, anyone who wishes to come up and give can give. And again, we have people that drop checks off, cash off, change off. I mean, they'll give, anything that they have in their car or in their wallet. And so we encourage that. Where it really begins to get important is at the top of the hour. So at 9:00, we actually start doing what's called the accounting of all the funds. So, excuse me. So what we'll do is we'll actually have all of those funds brought in. We'll actually employ the services of either our local bank or our staff. We'll take those funds, add them up, we will call Operation Honor Guard National Headquarters.
Yep.
We'll let them know how much has been gathered for that top of the hour. That, of course, creates the competition level for all of the honor guards as they're kind of competing against each other. Also lets the honor guard know how they're doing. And they will be asking a lot of what has been brought in and what that number is at. So that happens at the top of every hour. Of course, we also understand we have to feed these veterans and we have to hydrate these veterans. Austin Sutton, who is a master of this with his team, he's going to make sure that every veteran out there that has served, that's a part of the honor guard, is fed and hydrated, taken care of. We'll be working diligently doing that, running for them all day, part of what you do as a funeral director and in the funeral service. So we're used to that as well.
Okay. So, and so you mentioned, so you're going to share with your, national office, right, at the top of the hour, where you're at in terms of donations. And then do you find out kind of where like the other donation locations are at?
We do.
Okay. So so it sounds like you make this like a little bit of a competition.
It really feels like that. And again, I love it because the veterans Glenn Goodrich knows a lot of people. And so the veterans know each other, and in certain markets, they may even be able to say, hey, we're out here doing the same thing you're doing. How's your day going? And so on. So conversation can become very interesting, to say the least.
Yeah, it sounds like it. And it must be especially interesting and motivating, right? If you're like really close to another chapter near the top of the table.
Absolutely.
So no, that's exciting. So you're out there, and then again, you do those little checks every hour, and then you're there until 7. Anything special that happens at the end of it, or do you just kind of tear down at that point?
What's really interesting is that you feel like that this thing just keeps getting, it gets momentum. It just gains momentum as you go. And at 7 o'clock, I think every veteran is going to be saying it's time to go home, put the feet up and relax, because as you said, Reed, and I love the word, how it works. It works. There's a lot of people working. I think our veterans are doing the most work on that day, as they're accustomed to doing, because they're the ones that are communicating with the donors and the givers. They're the ones that are fellowshipping with each other, certainly communicating back and forth with the staff with Austin and the staff at Sutton Memorial Homes as well.
I would imagine, and correct me if I'm wrong, that like if you have the veterans out there and your work like impacts veterans in a positive way, do you think that makes people more likely to give?
I feel like it.
Yeah.
I feel like it. And I think also, as we said earlier, I think that the impact of just knowing a loved one who's served in the military, who's been accorded military rights, just your heart's just filled with such gratitude. I mean, you remember how that impacted you. It's such a great moment to realize how much these men and women have sacrificed and how dedicated they are to the task.
I love it. And hearing about that, yeah, it makes a difference when you hear those stories and realize what it means. So you talked about how it kind of impacts the veterans who are helped by this. Talk about how Operation Honor Guard has impacted you.
Yeah, Reed, thanks for asking that. So let me go backwards just a moment. My dad served in Vietnam, and he was disabled, just recently passed. And we were taught as it was my brother and I. We were taught as a family, always be grateful to veterans, no matter where you were. I mean, if you saw a guy with a cap on, you'd go up, you'd thank him, you'd appreciate him, let him know how grateful you are. If you saw a woman in uniform, you go up and thank her for everything that she had done. It was ingrained in us as a family. And so to be able to bring this to communities is very impactful for me. To then realize that when my dad passed, the honor guard was there, the military rights were recorded, taps was played. I'm tearing up, and I'm realizing as I'm looking over at these men and women who are helping us through this difficult moment, I'm realizing I need to be thankful for each and every one of them. I really need to pour into them. So the impact that it's had on me is watching these individuals give back to families who have lost loved ones, who have so bravely served our country. It's the impact is deep.
And it sounds like you have that reciprocal gratitude, right? You talk about being thankful to those who've served, as we all are today and every day. And then you also being thankful to, and I think you said Operation Honor Guard, for their support in making all of that happen. And it sounds like it just kind of the impact of that, it just kind of goes up continuously, it seems.
Rich Darby, who started this, and I'd be remiss if I didn't mention him, great friend of mine, good guy, and especially one who loves honor guards. I'll keep this brief.
1 minute.
I will do it in 30 seconds. He's at a funeral. The military rights are being accorded. It's a terribly hot day. He looks over. The veterans are sweating. They're putting all of their effort into this scene. And at this moment, he looks over, sees tattered uniforms, and realizes, I need to do something to help these men and women. Rich Darby, at that moment, because of the impact it had on him, started Operation Honor Guard, and it has blossomed and grown into this massive 501c3 charity that has just impacted so many people.
And that's how it started. Wow. That is quite the story. And it's a shame it only came with 1 minute to go, because I'm sure there would have been a lot more to share, but I'm glad you shared that, though. Chad Sparks, Public Relations Director with Sutton Memorial Homes. Chad, thanks again for coming in.
Reed, thanks for having me. We appreciate you.
Yes. And this was a great conversation this morning. Again, Operation Honor Guard Day of Giving, next Wednesday, May 6th, 8 to 7 at Veterans Memorial Park.
With SRN News, I'm Rich Thomason in Washington. Accused of advocating the assassination of President Trump, former FBI Director James Comey has been